a chance. Losing the horse, build up the seas, set the serpents alight. Define the heights, behold your sight. For those windmills, let them run again. 'Cause I will fight. Let it be the cold rain, be it battle I cannot survive, or another cursed spirit come from the tide. Every morning, every night, my fate confide. Beyond our years upon the bridge across the stranger light. Those devils never break out of their great disguise. So I will fight. Another soul, another falsely fight. Those rambling words they pressed upon my soul. Every inch I blush towards the fatal side. Against the winds, against the lights, I shall conquer a lie. 'Cause when you stop to dream, your whole heart gives into life.
Listen and you'll hear the heartbeat of a universe teeming with force. See all the forms and the faces of nature taking its course. And feel all the wonderful motion flowing through things far and near. Nature will share her secrets when we are ready to hear. Energy, these are a few of your faces, glowing in timeless places, bringing our lives new graces. Energy, there is no living without you. We must keep learning about you. Now is the time to find how to. Energy, you are profound. You make the world go round and round. You make the world go round. You make the world go round. You make the world go round.
Hello, everybody. How is it going? Thank you, Energy. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're having a good weekend. It's almost over, but I hope it's still been good. Firehair, thank you for the stream streak. Working Man, thank you for 33 months. Appreciate it. Grantel, thank you so much for signing up, for subscribing for your first month at Tier 1. Appreciate that, Grantel. Hope you're doing well. Duck Typo, thank you for following. Thank you to Buck Tennington for subscriber prime while I was offline. We're playing an old point-and-click adventure game today. Been requested to do another one of these. It's called Star Trek 25th Anniversary, which is a strange name. But this is what it sounds like, a kind of old point-and-click adventure game about the original Star Trek show. Never played it somehow. I think there's even an NES port of this. Am I making that up? Star Trek. What's neat about this PC version is that it's actually the CD-ROM version you get on GOG, so it has voice acting from like all the originals. They're all here. That's neat. Yeah, there was an NES. I thought there was an NES version. It might be a different game technically than this one. Yeah, the NES game also came out in 92, but it's a bit different. Interesting. So, I wonder how that feels. Thank you for the hype train, everybody. So yeah, I'm excited to get this. I think it's going to be a bit more complicated than just like point and click, because there's like bridge stuff. There is spaceship combat. It's going to be wild. It'll be interesting. I know sometimes when I do these, we like marathon through a game, but I've never played this one before. Starting a little bit late, so probably not going to play this whole thing tonight, but we'll get some good proggies done here. Dan's stream on Friday got you and Twisted Melt. Do I have a favorite Twisted Melt? Yeah, it's 2. It's also 2. Definitely. Yes, I liked Toy Story 5. It's still not as good as 1, 2, or 3. But I liked it more than 4. It was a good movie. There you go. There you go. There's the Toy Story thoughts. There's so many weird Star Trek games I still want to play. I really want to play that Deep Space Nine one. Well, both the Genesis Deep Space Nine one, and then the Fallen, which was the PC one, which I think was well liked at the time, but that one is not on GOG yet. What is on GOG is this weird, like, insurrection sequel thing that I've never heard of before called Star Trek Hidden Evil. I don't want to play that for the lulz. That looks weird. It seems like it's not very good. Well, Elite Force 1 is the GOAT. That's the best Star Trek game, at least that I played. And I played some of them. I haven't I played Away Team back in the day. I played some Bridge Commander. I never finished them. And obviously, like, Bridge Crew, the VR game, was awesome. Yeah, I kind of want to play, like, the idea that there are 16-bit console games based off of Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, there's definitely a big part of me that's like, I need to play through those. I need to see what's up with those. Kind of fun. Then there are like some tactics games like Armada that are okay. I played a little bit of, not a ton. Yeah, I hope that Star Trek game with Ro Laren's going to be good. Elite Force is the first-person shooter. That was Raven Software. But yeah, we are playing Star Trek 25th Anniversary. Get this thing booted up. I booted up before, so hopefully our sound settings are okay. We'll see. This stuff is always a little finicky for a moment. Takes a second to get going. Then there's like weird stuff like the game based off the Abrams movies. It's just called Star Trek. That's kind of a Gears of War like that I kind of like. Oh, is it a TNG Game Boy game? Raven? Well, it's later Raven, so it's more straightforward than a Heretic. Hey, Morbid. Just setting up the DOS box. Stuff's always interesting. Alright, you hold still there. It's gonna just go.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
Just full screening it, don't worry. Oh, great, skipped it. Well, we know about its mission. Demon World!
Though the Enterprise's primary mission is peaceful exploration, the galaxy holds many surprises. To be prepared, we are conducting a mock battle with the USS Republic.
Captain Patterson reports the Republic is in position and ready to begin, Captain.
The Republic is arming weapons and raising shields. I suggest we do the same, Captain.
Alright. I know P pauses. Let me know, how's the volume, everybody? Alright, how do we raise shields? W arms weapons, S raises and lowers shields.
Arming weapons.
Raising shields.
Alright, we did those things. Now where is he? W and S for those. I guess weapons and shields. So many old computer games, the buttons are just like, well, weapon starts with a W, so this should be the W button, right? Say nuclear vessels. Is the audio good, everybody? I think we're good. I lowered a bit. C, yeah, right. C for the character sheet. I kind of have like some of the basic controls on my. It's a bit loud. Okay. Well, 1 second. I have to, like... It's annoying having to reset this stuff. Put it back on my camera for a moment. I can't just capture the window. I gotta capture the screen for these games. Well, there's some good background noises, though, right? That's already at, like... Okay. This is 15% now. Hopefully that's good. Marcus, thank you so much for 16 months. Appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. Mike, what's your early top 3 games of the year? Good question. There's like quite a few that are fighting for it. Forza Horizon 6 was really good. So was Bond, Pragmata, Resident Evil, and Bacopia. I know you asked for 3, but it's among those 5. Definitely among those 5. I'm gonna go back to Windows 95. Okay. Want to full screen it again? No. Try to full screen it. There we go. Alright, where is he? Ow. I want to win my mock battle. Where is he?
I advise saving the photon torpedoes for close range.
You can push T to ask Spock for advice. Oh, I keep seeing this planet. Where's the spaceship? Ah, there he is. Like I'm really giving it to him.
Computer estimates the Enterprise's warp drives have overloaded and exploded.
Not my engine.
No, did I
It's just a
lose?
simulation, Scott.
Captain Patterson says better luck next time, sir.
Lowering shields.
Can I win this fight? Should I restart? Ah!
Message coming in from Starfleet.
On screen,
Bullshit.
Lieutenant.
Jim, the Enterprise is ordered to travel to Pollux 5. The natives report that alien life forms have been attacking the settlers near a mine at Mount Idle. You are to report to the High Prelate of the colony. The settlers are members of the Acolytes of the Stars sect. The description of the attackers vary, but all say that the attackers resemble creatures from many Earth religions known as demons. Starfleet wants you to determine the nature of these creatures and to resolve the situation without bringing harm to the colonists. Starfleet out.
Or like, can I reread that? Yeah, this is the original cast.
I advise referring to the star map and setting a course for the Pollux system, sir.
Alright. I will do that, Spock. I think I can save if I do this.
Save new game.
Yes. Like one. Alright. Let's open up my star map. I think the game is episodic as well. Okay. H for hail, D to talk to Spock, C for computer, O for orbit planet, D for damage control. I probably should have done that during that fight. Okay, N for navigation. That makes sense, I guess. So 25th anniversary, this is 1992. This would have been around Undiscovered Country time, I think, right? Wait, what system did he say? Shit. Wait, tell me what planet it was, Box.
We're off course, Captain.
Instruments indicate that we have crossed the Klingon neutral zone.
Well, that's probably not
Klingon
good.
ship is arming its weapons systems and raising shields.
That's why we saved.
Damage control standing by, sir.
Message from the Klingon commander, sir.
On screen, Lieutenant.
Enterprise, you are in
Oh, they have
violation
the
of
OG
Klingon
Klingons.
space. Your ship is forfeit. Prepare to die.
Well, I may as well
Arming weapons. Raising shields.
practice her combat here real quick. Ah. Then we'll reload. We'll find where the Pollux system actually is. If all these instruments and none of them tell me where this ship is.
Klingons are notoriously ferocious over neutral zone violations, Captain.
There's a radar in the middle. Is that what that is? How does that work?
Weapons are offline.
That's good. Oh, console. I see it now. I see. Good to know. We're learning. We're learning. We're learning. All right, let's reload. Okay. Navigation. Now, how do we see what these things are? Let's see. Analyze target with A. Well, that's not working for this. If I right-click? Nope.
We're off course, Captain.
Instruments indicate that we
No,
have
not the
crossed over
Romulans.
Damage control stand.
Message from
On screen, Lieutenant.
Enterprise.
Let me see if I can use my brand new understanding of radar to get them into view and shoot them. Oh, damn.
The Enterprise has been destroyed. Load a previously saved game.
Okay. Navigation. Now, how do we find out which one of these is the place we want to go to? Yeah, we have all out more. Yeah, I know the Next Lander guys played through these games not too long ago. Maybe P for place. Spock, can you tell me? No, I mean, I could just push all the buttons in here. U, E, R, T, U, Y. Pushing everything. Or something happens. Am I supposed to just, like, no? Okay. Oh, space button just also sent me. I didn't read the manual on the way from Babbage's
We're
yet.
off course,
I
Captain.
know we're off
Instruments
course.
Trouble, Captain. Damage control stand.
message from
On screen.
Enterprise.
See, has it anti-piracy.
We're not in orbit, Captain.
These
Captain's
things,
log.
Load. We're learning.
I advise referring to the star map and setting a course for the Pollux system, sir.
I would love to. Maybe I have to find the star map and then set a course. Maybe these are different things. These might be completely different things. Where's the star map? No, that is that. And it's open the star map. Shit. Well, then there's clearly something we're missing here, right? I can't even push N at this point to leave again. Got it right-clicked.
We're off course, Captain.
Instruments indicate that Klingon
Damage control stand.
message from the
On
I
screen.
bet my crew's pissed at me. Alright, alright, come on. Let's see. It's a hail. The planets are... Oh, they're in the manual, the planets. Okay, right, old video game. That's fine, I'll open up the manual in here. That makes some sense. Star Trek 25th anniversary. Of course. Alright. That's fine. I'm opening up the manual. Alright. We're going to Pollux. There's something about this I almost find endearing. Alright. Pollux is 19. Alright. This guy right here should be it.
we have arrived at Pollux 5.
First, see, there you go. That's one. Let's hail them.
message from High Prelate Robert Angevin, sir.
Welcome, Enterprise. The High Prelate awaits you. Please, beam down and meet with him.
All right, there is something about this that feels pretty Star Trek-y already. I have to admit. Okay, so I think if I push K and I do this
We're
button.
not in orbit, Captain.
Oh, O for orbit. All right, there we go. I mean, this is kind of amazing.
Standard orbit.
Alright, we're in orbit now. So now, we should be able to beam.
Spock, come with me. Mr. Scott, you have the con.
There we go. Hell yeah.
This is so much better, gentlefolk. We are honored at your presence, and hope you will find peace here in our haven.
I can't believe I never played
Captain,
this.
the flora on this planet is very interesting. I wonder how useful it may be for medicinal purposes.
Can I still save if I'm on the point and click stuff? Maybe not. Well. Oh, what the fuck?
Spock raises an eyebrow.
I can make Spock talk to this person instead of me? Is that what is going on? Okay. This is very interesting. All mining equipment use this road. That's what that sign says.
High Prelate Angiven waits patiently for you to decide what you will do next.
Alright, I assume I'm just gonna talk to this guy. Okay. I see. So wherever I right click, I click on if I'm gonna grab something, use something, look at something, or talk to someone. What does this do? Ah, that's where this stuff is.
Save new game.
Yeah, I would like to save again. Okay, okay. Cool. There's a sequel to this too called Judgment Rights. This is the ideal genre for Star Trek. Is this. Alright.
I'm Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. We have received word that alien life forms are creating problems at your mining facilities at Idle Mountain. Tell me more.
Tell me more.
Most
tell me
High
more.
Prelate Angiven, I am honored to meet.
Oh, I
I'm
have
Captain
choices
James T.
of what
Kirk
I'm going to
of the USS
say.
Enterprise. We have received word that alien life forms are creating problems at your mining facilities at Idle Mountain. Tell me more.
I could say that.
Most High Prelate Angiven, I am honored to meet you. I consider it my divine duty to assist you in any possible way with the spawn of the devil.
That seems like a bit much.
Been seeing ghosts and boogeymen, eh? I find that a little hard to believe.
Well, that's condescending.
I'm Captain James T.
Yeah, let's
Kirk
just
of
do
the
this
USS
nice,
Enterprise.
more respectful
We
one.
received word that alien life forms...
Certainly, Captain Kirk. Not aliens per se. We have encountered what we believe are demons at Idle Mountain. Creatures surely emerging from the very gates of hell. Our God would not test us thus without reason. So we believe your might and insight are our God's method to help us discover what is going on.
Aside from seeing demons, has any hard data been collected? Any evidence I could see? Demons, gates of hell, this is the 23rd century.
Let's not be mean.
Aside from seeing demons,
Okay, we'll
has
do
any
this one.
hard data been collected? Any evidence
I like
could
this.
see?
This is good.
A skeptic would consider everything merely anecdotal or unproven. My people will gladly tell you their own stories, so you need not hear it secondhand through me.
Oh, it'll still
What can
be
you tell me about the mine itself?
You tell about the mine.
You're wasting the time of a starship capable of destroying this planet with campfire stories? No wonder you were dumped out here in the middle of nowhere.
Jesus.
What can you tell me about the mine itself?
Let's say that.
The area is exceptionally stable tectonically, and easy for our machinery to work in, praise God. We've mined for hafnium and a variety of useful trace elements. The deeper we dig, however, the more anomalous the variety of minerals seems to be. Our Ignatiate brother Stephen has his own theories about why this might be. Either way, the anomalies inspired Brother Canbury to conduct studies inside the mine. Yesterday, he reported discovering a strange door. A gate to hell, surely, for the demons caused a cave-in immediately. Canbury was trapped, unconscious, and the demons prevent us from rescuing him. We can only hope he is still alive.
I think they got a classic
Thank you for your
Balrog
courtesy,
situation on their hands.
May you receive the guidance and protection of our God as you complete this divine mission.
What do you think about this, Spock?
Captain, demons and supernatural creatures are, almost by definition, illogical. Yet it is evident these people believe what they have seen. Barring illness or mass hysteria, I agree that a real problem seems to exist.
Very good. What do you think? What about you, Dr. McCoy?
You get no response.
You look rather cold, Bones.
I missed him.
I'm not cold. I'm freezing. And that damn transporter just had to set me down in the middle of a snowdrift.
A centimeter of snow does not technically constitute
Hell yeah.
drift, Doctor.
Get catty.
Doctors say that patients complain too much.
Hell yeah. Getting the original cast is awesome. Obviously, they're a little older here, but still is really cool. And this is a lot of dialogue they seem to be voicing. How about this ensign? What do you think?
I've never seen snow like this before. This is great.
All right, he's having fun.
You mean you've never built a snowman, Ensign?
Oh, you want to build a
I've never
snowman?
even thrown a snowball. Do you think anyone would mind?
Well...
Later, Ensign, we have work to do.
Of course, sir.
This guy's probably toast, huh? Oh, yeah, this is while after Nimoy directing Body Wars. This is 92. Body Wars was, very late 80s. Alright. Okay, so I can walk around. I see. Look at these guys. I bet they know how to party.
I am worried about Brother Chubb. Can you examine him, Doctor?
This man is in no condition to talk.
Bones, can you look at him?
This man needs help, Jim. And I wouldn't want to put it off for too long.
Okay, so I have to, like, order you two.
He is too busy consoling the wounded man.
Brother Chubb, huh?
He is too busy
Okay.
You fail to obtain anything.
Use Dr. McCoy on injured man.
Jim, this man has
There
suffered
you go.
severe
It
physical
worked.
injuries to his head and arm. The wounds have been adequately cared for. However, he has developed a Nugarian infection.
Oh, no.
If not treated swiftly, the effects can be fatal. The infection can normally be treated with hypoditoxin, but there's none on the Enterprise.
I may be of some assistance. The Lorexian berry grows near the mouth of the cave. If I could acquire it, I would be able to synthesize the hypoditoxin from the berry. Unfortunately, the demons prevent us from approaching the cave entrance. Perhaps you could retrieve it for me.
We'll do that. Alright, we got a mission. See if we can talk to this guy.
Time is of the essence. You must
Alright.
hurry and retrieve.
Alright, we'll go get your berry. I love this shit, man. It's like, again, I like new video games, and I'm glad we make them all, but if it all goes to hell and they all stop, I'll be content just playing old shit like this for the rest of my days. Alright. This would be... What do you see there, Spock?
This study represents a man with a keen mind, Captain. To judge by what I see, there is little which does not interest him. The equipment is antiquated, but practical.
What do you see, Ensign?
I wonder if any of this stuff might be useful.
That's a good point. Let's see. Let's look at it.
Assorted pieces of glass rest on this table, from ancient beakers to double burners.
Can we grab one?
You fail to obtain anything.
Guess not. What's with all these gems?
A glass-fronted display of mineral specimens, including a meteorite, a few fossil shells, the skull of a cat-sized alien animal, and a very encrusted twist of metal.
Oh, see, my idea, make a list of games I want to play. A backlog bucket list, that'd be fun.
The glass case is locked.
Alright, let's go inspect the cave, I think. Now, this might be, again, I assume that this is one of these kind of games where saving
Save
frequently
new
is important. Very different from a LucasArts adventure game, because I think we can fail. Well, there's the cave. Ah! Klingons! They're the demons! Oh, god damn it! Oh, man. Oh, shit. I'm like, okay. Good thing I saved. Well, at this point, let's just let it play out. Let's see. Okay. We're gonna react a little faster next time.
Captain Kirk is fatally shot by a Klingon. Game over.
So was it game over when
Load a
Kirk was
previously
dead?
saved game.
Or Spock, I mean? Okay. So, I want to save the Jensen even. So I am going to as fast... Okay, this does pause. As fast as I can. Do I even have a phaser on me? Oh, you would think. Okay, as fast as I can, let's try to talk to them.
You get no response. You get no response.
Get him!
This is not a Klingon, Captain. Not a real one. It is an organic construct, an android-like robot.
Oh.
It looks like a Klingon, but the appearance is entirely superficial.
Well, now what?
You fail to obtain...
Okay. Do we not have phasers? Let me look at my ground control stuff. I'm sure I have a phaser button somewhere. I have an inventory that I have not looked at yet. If I push I... maybe I don't. We're still learning. Good night, Dark. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna look at the manual for a moment here. Look at my away mission controls. So there is an inventory icon. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, I should have a phaser. So. In the use or look modes, press I to open my inventory. That seems to not be working for some reason. I must have an inventory. Oh god, I have to be in look mode first. Okay.
One Starfleet issue science tricorder, a science officer's best friend. One Starfleet issue medical tricorder to assure that Starfleet doctors make the correct diagnosis.
A beautiful snow-covered scene with a path leading off to Mount Idle.
I see. Okay, we're learning here.
One Starfleet issue medical.
So.
One Starfleet regulation phaser type 1.
Okay, so if I want to use the phaser, I think we have to do this, then press I, then select it. Alright, a little complicated, but I got it. Alright.
You see a small explosion, and the Klingon's hand falls to the ground with a dull thud.
I guess they don't make Klingons like they used to, sir.
Federation scum.
God damn it. Can I not save him? Oh, he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Whew. Hey, you alright, buddy?
I guess this isn't such a great planet after all.
Captain, we registered phaser fire and an unknown energy beam. Is everyone okay?
You're doing alright.
Fine. Did you register any disruptor fire?
No, Captain. Why? Are there Klingons down there?
No, just an idea, Kirkout.
Fascinating. I begin to suspect that we have stumbled upon something that the colonists would never have uncovered.
What is it, Spock?
I wish to gather further data before making a definite conclusion, Captain.
Okay.
They look like Klingons.
Yeah, but Spock does not think they're Klingons.
This is not a Klingon, Captain. Not a real one. It is an organic construct.
How about this one?
This is not a Klingon, Captain. This is not a Klingon, Captain. Not a real one. It is an organic construct. This is not a Klingon, Captain. Not a real one. It is an organic construct. An android.
They steal its wallet?
You fail to obtain anything. You fail to obtain anything. You fail to obtain...
Okay. The important thing is that we are... Hey, Dan! Oh, good. You liked it? Yeah. Also, I worked on the first Christmas song for the Christmas album.
Save new game.
Dan, I don't think you would like this game, but this is my kind of bullshit right here. Can I just overwrite Mike 3? Alright. Let's go. Oh, are these the berries we need?
Various types of berries grow amongst the bushes.
Good, good, good. Hope you had a good weekend, Dan. Let's use our tricorder on these things. Oh, that's not my tricorder. Again, I like Star Trek. I am mostly into the 24th century stuff, so Next Generation Deep Space Nine. But some of the stuff isn't as immediate familiar.
These Laraxian berries, Captain. They have several medicinal uses, but Dr. McCoy would know more.
Okay.
Jim, these are the berries we need to synthesize the hypodetoxin. We must get these to Brother Stephen quickly.
All right, good. Good, good, good. Grab these berries.
You have retrieved a sample of berries.
Good. And there they are. All right, go get these over to the guy. And can I not leave? There we go. Had to click off the screen there. Alright. Okay, so that's what that is. That's the inventory button, I see.
Good! You have found the berries. Bring them to my lab, quickly.
Okay. I know where your lab is. Right, here's the berries again.
The settings on the Ardak 4 have already been adjusted. Simply place the berry in the machine and the hypoditoxin will be synthesized.
Okay.
The machine synthesizes a quantity of hypoditoxin.
We've got to get this to Brother Chubb as quickly as possible, Jim.
Brother Chubb. Incredible name. Hey, Oni Manny, thank you for following. Appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. You're most kind.
I wonder if he'll talk to us now.
I headed up the party that sought to rescue Brother Kandri. Without warning, the demons appeared and attacked us as we approached the mine.
Can you tell us what they look like?
Like the demons that have plagued devout folk since before our people left the earth. Huge, muscular demons with ruddy skin, truly the manifestation of evil, with bat wings, horns and talons and a pointed tail. God preserve us all. One tore open my arm and I surely would have perished, but for my companions who bore me back down the mountain.
The demons didn't follow you?
No.
What do you think about that, Spock?
The medical methods of these people seem primitive to me, Doctor.
By our standards, yes. Here the acolytes prefer a simpler lifestyle. Unfortunately, this is one of the consequences.
I am Brother Stephen, an Ignatiate following the holy teachings with mind and soul alike. I believe the anomalous mineral readings in combination with evidence of ancient disturbances in this otherwise highly stable geologic location indicates previous habitation of the region eons ago.
Why, Spock, you two should get along fine. He sounds just like you.
I would be equally honored to discuss medicine with you, Doctor, as science with your Vulcan associate. Let me continue. I believe our God made humans, aliens, and demons all. If I could get a real demon into my study, I would bless our God for the opportunity, as I thank him for everything in this life.
You tread close to unholy knowledge, Brother Stephen.
I appreciate your prayers, Brother Roberts. Captain, if you and your people go up the mountain, I hope afterward you will visit me in my study, which is next door. I'm too old to make the trek myself.
The Star
but
Trek.
I'm eager for knowledge. In return, I will offer you what insights our God grants these old eyes.
I have to bring you a demon?
You know, Jim, they can take a captain out of a starship and a science officer out of his lab, but you can never retire a doctor.
Not the good ones, that's for sure.
My mom wanted me to become a doctor. Honest. But I hated my biology classes.
So did I, but I became one anyway.
That is not logical, Doctor.
Neither was some of my professors.
With this guy's Chocobo Bill?
I headed up the party that sought to rescue Brother Kandri.
Can you tell us what they look like?
Like the demons that have...
The demons didn't...
No. I headed up the party that...
Can you tell us what they look like?
Like the demons that have...
The demons didn't follow you?
No.
Okay. I guess we're gonna head to that mountain after we save again.
Save new game.
Yes, the actual actors, yeah. I guess we're going deeper into the cave. Gotta love this kind of music.
You notice what appears to be a man's arm sticking out from the rubble.
Really? Can we help him?
A large pile of rubble blocks what appears to be a large metallic structure. A large pile of rubble blocks what appears to be a large metallic structure.
I recommend as thorough an analysis of this area as possible.
All right.
Captain, there are several weak points in the cave-in's structure. Careful use of our phasers from the top down should be able to clear it.
What about the dude in here?
I'm picking up weak vital signs. If we don't dig him out soon, we're going to lose him.
All right. Let's see if this works then.
Assume firing positions.
You constantly feel like your carbon monoxide detector's going off as you're watching this. All right, it's set from the top down. I'm worried. Okay. Look at us go. Actually, I just want to use a McCoy on you. God, it's hard to tell a Spock and McCoy apart from the back.
It was a near thing, but he'll live.
Good job, Doctor. Look at me go.
Oh, thank you, kind souls, for saving my life. Let me rest here for a little before returning to report this miracle to Prelate Angiven.
Alright. I might still need to shoot this thing.
There is no apparent effect.
What's that? Can we go in now? What about the door? What do you think, Spock?
I recommend as thorough an...
Jim, the next time you need medical help on a snowball...
Bones.
I'll probably end up coming along.
A large metallic door is set in the structure.
This came out just 1 year after Star Trek VI. Interesting.
Captain, this course of action is ineffectual. Captain, the consequences of such...
Okay, so I think we're done shooting phasers. But I would like to open this door.
Fascinating, Captain. This door is made of an unknown material. It is clearly built by an alien race we have no knowledge of.
Do you have an idea how to open it?
You fail to obtain any...
Guess we can use our corner.
Fascinating, Captain.
Yeah,
this door is made of an unknown material.
Same thing.
Nothing to report, Captain. Fascinating. I'm registering low-intensity shielding unlike anything we've encountered before. That kept this door, and whatever is behind it, hidden from the ship's sensors and earlier tricorder readings.
Yes, but I would like to open the door.
A large metallic door is set in...
Talk to the door.
You get no response.
Sir, it may be dangerous. Let me try it.
Oh, you sure, buddy?
I think I was shocked, sir.
Okay. Well, could have been worse. You try it, Spock.
Sir, it may be... That was definitely a mild shock.
Yeah, just a mild shock. Maybe if you got one of those minerals, you can use it to counteract the shock. I don't know. What do you think, Spock? You have anything to say about that?
I recommend as thorough...
Yeah.
A cavern deep in Mount Idle. Brother Kandri is barely conscious and is lying still, trying to regain his strength.
Oh, thank you, kind souls, for saving...
Okay.
It appears to be a security lock designed to open the door when the correct handprint is registered.
I see. Looking all right?
This man is badly hurt and suffering from shock and exposure as well.
Can we, do some more things to help him?
I've done all I can.
Okay.
He just needs rest now.
If you say so. Let's, maybe go back, talk to some people. Yeah, with a fake Klingon hands up. Oh, look, there's a hand over here.
It's the Klingon's detached hand.
Huh. Didn't even notice that. I mean, that's some pixel hunting there.
You take the Klingon's detached hand.
Well, we got a hand now. Well, he's gone. That's good. Hope he's doing all right. Let's save before we do this.
Save new game.
Yep. Like 3. All right. Let's use the hand.
The fit is perfect, but something seems to be shorting out.
Now what?
This looks like some of the hand security panels on the Enterprise.
I fail to see the...
This hand was taken from the Klingon outside the cave.
What do you think about this hand, Bones?
Nothing happens.
What do you think about this hand, Spock?
Nothing happens.
Nothing, okay. Let's try it again.
Nothing happens. This looks like some of the hand security panels on the Enterprise.
I fail to see. I recommend as thorough and...
Yeah, we're being pretty thorough. It almost worked.
Nothing happens.
Jim, the next time you need medical, I'll probably end up...
No sign of demons, Klingons, or other hostiles, Captain. I promise, I'll let you know the instant something appears.
Everett's
Don't be too
must be
anxious, Ensign.
protected.
We may want to talk with them.
We can't use it.
You fail to obtain anything. Nothing happens.
Let's go look around. You guys have any other hands? What's this?
You fail to obtain anything.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Don't worry. Again, everyone, don't, I don't need any hints unless I ask for them. If you know what's going on, I'm okay floundering around for a while, figuring it out. What do you make of this, sir?
What a fascinating piece of equipment. Highly advanced technology. You see here, it seems to have been damaged, however. Take it to my workbench and let's see if it can be repaired. I fear my hands are too shaky to perform such fine work, but perhaps one of you can do it.
Oh. Okay.
Mr. Spock, see what you can do about that hat.
Here we go.
This machinery is delicate, but I have managed to repair the circuitry.
There we go. We have fixed the hand. This is good proggies. Alright, let's save before we go through this door.
Save new game.
I'll start just naming the save files 4 and saving myself some time. Okay. Fixed. Oops, wrong thing. Fixed hand.
The hand circuitry triggers a connection and the door opens.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty, let's go. Who's ready to meet some demons? Whoa. What do we have here?
This appears to control some unusual security equipment. It appears to be an abstract piece of alien art. Many alien machines fill the room.
Spock, what do you make of this?
Logically, the machinery is sustaining some type of life in suspended animation. If we can reactivate the machines, then we may be able to meet its creators.
Oh. Of
course. I wonder who or what constructed all this.
I'm just a security officer, sir.
Yeah.
fascinating, Captain. It is a diagram of a lunar eclipse of this planet. See how the red sphere, the moon, is casting a shadow on the blue sphere,
Yes.
Pollux 5. This must be a very old piece of work, because this planet's moon was destroyed thousands of years ago. The machinery is waiting for the gravitational pull of another eclipse to activate it. An eclipse that will never come. And one other thing, Captain. This may also be a diagram showing the proper settings on that control panel. This control panel is a manual override for the alien life support equipment. This alien construction takes readings of mental activity. It also activates manufacturing equipment related to security and includes a short-distance transportation device. It is an alien life support system, Captain, utilizing geothermal energy. It is still functioning, waiting for some sort of signal. It is an alien life support system.
Part of me wonders if I could get the Enterprise to maybe create the eclipse or something. See if we can talk to them.
Nothing to report, Captain.
Okay, well, maybe not. It's a neat idea, though.
I wonder who or what constructed all this.
This alien construction takes readings of mental activity. It all...
Can I use it then? No. Okay. There's a me. I mean, how the heck would I know how this works, huh? Well, the lights are on again when I do it like this.
Nothing happens.
Interesting. Also, it killed the music and noises.
Nothing happens.
Logically, the machinery is sustaining some type of life in suspended animation. If we can reactivate the machines, then we may be able to meet its creators.
What if I just fucking shot it?
Violence will not solve our current situation, sir.
That's what you always say, Spock.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Something needs to go in there, you think? You would think. Tell me about this again.
This control panel is a manual override for the alien life support equipment.
Yeah, we don't know how it works, though.
It is an alien life support system, Captain. This alien construction takes readings of mental activity. It also activates manufacturing equipment related to security and includes a short-distance transportation device.
We'll make Bones do it instead.
Nothing happens.
Spock, go be smart and figure it out. Hey, Trail Jack. Yeah, it's hearing Nimoy's voice in this game makes me think of Civ 4. I mean, I don't think there's any way to just like figure this out. I don't think there's a puzzle in front of me. Somehow I have to do this another way. I liked my cute idea of making the Enterprise Oh, they were blocking a panel here. What's this?
Many alien machines fill the room.
Maybe nothing. We go any further in? Don't think so. Yeah, let's leave for a moment. Maybe we can talk to some people. Ranking of Xehanort voice actors. Oh, I go Nimoy, Lloyd, and then Hauer. Nimoy was great in it. It's a shame he passed, obviously. So I don't think we can go back to the ship to do any shenanigans. Alright, there's just these people.
Boxes of supplies and mining equipment littered.
Howard didn't quite bring the same, I don't know, range to it. He sounded sort of flat.
I never dreamed that Starfleet would be interested in my discoveries, Captain. But our God often surprises us.
An old-fashioned computer. It appears to have some type of simulation running.
Alright, this is going to be useful, I can tell.
Mr. Spock, see what you can dig up from that old-fashioned computer terminal.
There appears to be a moon on that thing.
Captain, this appears to be a model of the Earth. Notice how it models the proper situation for a total eclipse.
I do notice that.
Mr. Spock, see what you can dig up from that old-fashioned computer terminal.
Captain, this appears to...
Well, that's great and all.
A vintage 801286 of the mid-21st century. It is a fine museum piece.
That's great and all, but we do something with this? It's clearly related. Or something with these panels here?
Mr. Spock, see what you can dig up from that old-fashioned computer terminal.
Captain, this appears to be a model of the Earth. Notice how it models the proper situation for a total eclipse.
Can I take something from here?
You fail to obtain anything. An old-fashioned computer.
This study represents a man with a keen mind, Captain.
You get no response.
Tried to talk to the computer. Didn't like that. It just actually highlights when you can use things or not. You kind of didn't see that in a lot of earlier adventure games.
Mr. Spock, see what you can...
Captain, this appears to be a model of the Earth. Notice how...
That seems like it's important, but...
Do I look like a pointy-eared, green-blooded, know-it-all alien?
Jesus bones.
I believe Mr. Spock would be more helpful with this, sir.
An old-fashioned computer. It appears to have some type of simulation running.
Mr. Spock, see what you can do.
Captain, this...
Maybe I can talk to him about it now.
I never dreamed...
No. I mean, that's gotta be related to what we're doing here, but it doesn't seem like I can do much more with it.
A vintage 801286 of the mid-21st century. It is a fine museum piece.
You fail to obtain anything.
This study represents a...
Nothing happens.
Nothing to report, Captain.
Thanks, Uhura.
A glass-fronted display of mineral specimens, including a meteorite, a few fossil shells, the skull of a cat-sized alien animal, and a very encrusted twist of metal.
This stuff's gonna be important eventually.
I read a collection of small items of no evident value. I would characterize this as a small museum display, Captain.
You are interested in my little museum of curiosities?
Looks like a pile of junk if you ask me.
No.
Yes, tell us about these things. Where did you find all this? Looks like a pile. Yes, tell us about these things.
Tell us about these things.
I enjoy talking about these treasures. Shall I go into mineral specimens? Meteorite. Fossil shells. Skull of a small alien animal. Twist of metal. Or would you rather move on to
I assume we have to
shells.
put one of these into that computer.
Meteorite. Fossil shells.
Not sure what.
Mineral specimen. Meteorite.
Hey Flex, thank you.
I believe this is evidence of the cataclysm which destroyed the moon of Pollux 5 eons past. I've constructed a theoretical model based on analysis of the planet's rings of what things might have been like. I think that the moon, like Earth's moon, would have made a total eclipse of the sun possible. I would have liked to have seen that. For conditions making a perfect total eclipse are rare in the universe. Our God creates great wonders. Shall I go into mineral specimens? True curiosities, nothing more. I think they're very pretty, don't you? Shall I go into minerals, meteorite, fossil shells? One of the oldest forms I've seen on this planet.
I think it's definitely the meteorite that's most important.
Beautiful things indeed.
Yeah, the twisted metal, right?
Into mineral, fossil shells, skull of the skull of a modern Silati, the largest creature native to this planet, about the size of a house cat from Earth. The Salatis combine a rather insectoid pattern with four-legged reptilian form, including praying mantis-like forelimbs. Shall I go into minerals, fossil skull, twist of metal?
Tell me about twisted metal.
This chunk of rock is a greatly weathered example of a vanadium tungsten alloy, which doesn't occur naturally. It is my best evidence that the area was previously inhabited. Shall I go into
that could be important too. That could be related to the computer.
Or would you rather? Very well. I can't imagine why, but if you have a further interest in any of this, take what you like. But please remember to return my treasures when you're done with them.
Okay, good. We can now pick these things up. That's the meteorite. Okay.
Pretty rock specimens.
No, I don't need pretty rocks. Let's put the pretty rock back before I forget.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Take your pretty rocks back.
The old man carefully returns the items to his cabinet.
Bless you for returning my things.
All right.
A common-looking meteorite about the size of a fist. Save new game.
Let's try putting some of these things in that terminal. All right, you guys.
You fit the key into the slot, but you cannot find a way to turn it.
Interesting.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Can't find a way to turn it. I mean...
Nothing happens.
Maybe we need to go on the workbench. What's that? So obviously this is something to do with the meteorite. Maybe I should use that meteorite on that one computer. What do you make of this, Spock?
Nothing happens.
Nothing, huh? Alright. Kind of on the right idea. I swear it's sometimes hard to make you get to leave. Go. Just go. There we go. Maybe I can use the meteorite with the computer. Let's see.
Nothing happens.
No. Can I...
You tinker with it, but do nothing significant. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
So old is the problem.
You tinker with it, but do nothing. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing ever happens. Oh, I bet you're gonna be hearing nothing happens quite a bit. I mean, when I try to play KOTOR 2, exactly. Maybe he'll know something about these things.
Nothing happens.
Yeah, maybe not.
Nothing happens.
I guess I never tried talking to these two. Maybe they'll be more talkative.
Brother Kandre is my partner. I was on the communications link when the demons caused the rockfall and silenced him. He said he'd found a strange door with devilish writing. Truly, he came upon the gate of hell itself.
I am Brother Griznash. I went up the mountainside in solitary prayer seeking to face my fears. Indeed, I found them. A bellowing Krognik demon with sharp teeth and a long snout descended upon me in a rush of wind.
Captain, a Krognik demon has a decidedly wolfish appearance. Brother Griznash, is this not the traditional shape of the Evil One and his minions among Tellarites?
Yeah, I thought that was a Tellarite.
It is. I believe this may be significant, Captain.
Oh, yeah?
I headed up the party that sought to rescue Brother Kandre. Without warning, the demons appeared and attacked us as we approached the mine.
Can you tell us what they look like?
Like the demons that have plagued devout folk since before our people left the earth. Huge, muscular demons with ruddy skin. Truly the
The demons didn't follow you?
No.
Everybody is seeing the demon, like whatever the devil looks like according to their tradition. So there you go.
The medical methods of these people seem
by our about this. So, yeah, that's interesting. May as well take the rest of the stuff, I guess.
The glass case is locked.
Oh, well.
A glass-fronted display of...
You are interested in my...
Looks like a pile of junk of you.
Everything of
Oh,
this...
I didn't mean to say it was a pile of junk, sorry. It was clicking too fast. Oh boy. Am I through load now? I accidentally insulted his junk. It's fine, I want to do this anyways. Let's just take everything except for the pretty rocks. I may as well take them too, who knows? Something's gotta be useful here, right?
Mr. Spock, see what you can dig up from that old-fashioned computer terminal.
Captain, this appears to be a model of the Earth. Notice how it models the proper situation for a total eclipse.
You read the data from that for me? That's what I'm not getting. It's like, I feel like the override controls must be related to this computer somehow, but I don't know how to get the information out of there.
An old-fashioned computer.
Unless I had like a disk, which I don't seem to have.
An antiquated An old-fashioned computer.
I'm looking at the buttons.
Assorted pieces of glass rest on this table from ancient beakers.
I don't know why I would need any of that.
You fail to obtain anything. Nothing happens.
I wonder if we could show the skull to that Tellarite. It kind of looked like the thing he was talking about.
I am Brother Griznash.
Captain, a Krognik demon has a decidedly...
It is.
I believe this may be...
More of a cat
Brother
than a...
Kandre,
Nothing happens.
I'm gonna just try giving all these things to these three people real quick, see if anything happens. Good chance it doesn't.
Nothing happens.
Gotta be thorough with these things.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing
happens. Alright, how about...
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Okay. I don't know if you guys know this, but nothing happened. I'm gonna save again real quick.
Save new game.
Okay, let's go back on it. I mean, the only thing that I've made happen is like, this thing is a key. What is this? Maybe I need to wash it.
A small stream flows down toward the forest. Nothing happens. Mount Idle rises above you.
We go up the mountain? Wasn't that something people said at one point? I don't know. I kind of liked my idea of cleaning this thing.
An old corroded twist of metal.
Right. So it's corroded as our issue. If I could clean it somehow.
Nothing happens.
Can I use this machine? When do we get to the fireworks factory? Oh, guys, the games take a while to get to the fireworks factory. Let me see. Let's see.
Nothing happens. Remnants of a recent snowfall cover the ground.
Hope I'm not like missing any screens. Always a possibility, but I don't think so.
Circadian moth.
Nothing else in here.
recommend as thorough an analysis of this area as possible.
I mean, you always say that.
Jim, the next time you...
Bones.
I'll probably end up... I wonder who...
Logically, the machinery is sustaining some type of life in suspense.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. You fit the key into the slot, but you cannot find a way to turn it.
So close.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
So, boy, I sure would like to.
Nothing to report, Captain.
Check my controls, make sure it's something else I'm missing here when I'm in these things. Phaser. Right corner. Yeah. So my two current dead ends. I have the key for this thing, but the key is all corroded and I can't turn it. There's also that computer that is showing a model of the Eclipse, which seems great, but I can't really do anything with that.
Many alien machines.
So.
You fail to obtain...
Nothing to report, Captain.
You're no help at all.
I'm just a security officer.
Alright. Nothing here. Gotta be some way to clean this key. I mean, I don't think I need more berries. Do I?
We don't need any more berries, Jim.
Oh, thanks. Well, answer my question.
A large patch of Kytelian tulips. James Kirk filled with a permanent... These are very beautiful Doctus cattails.
I want some of these.
You fail to obtain anything. You fail to obtain... You fail to obtain...
There's a part of me, it's like, I could get one of those beakers and fill it with water, but he doesn't grab any beakers when I try to do that.
You fail to obtain anything. You fail to obtain anything. You fail to obtain anything.
I never dreamed.
Darn it.
You tinker with it, but do nothing significant. Nothing happens.
Mr. Spock, see what you can do.
He always just looks at it and it's like, I don't know.
Captain, this appears to be a model of the Earth. Notice how it models a proper situation for a total eclipse.
That's fantastic. Do you have a floppy disk?
This study represents a...
Yes, fire hair. If you have a little, you can't ask Spock that. Oh, I can do whatever I want. All right, I may accept the slightest nudge. If somebody just wants, is there something in this room I haven't done yet? Also, it's funny that this base still looks full. Can I microwave the hamster? That would help.
With it, but
I don't know what else to do. Don't want to quit. Can't beam up. Yeah, I need to call Finney.
There's nothing there requiring a ship's doctor.
Mm-hmm.
a majestic view of Mount Idle can be seen through the skylight. Nothing happens.
If I show him any of this stuff, he'll just put it back in the display case, which I don't want. What's the last thing I did? I mean, done many things. I've picked up the key. I'm trying to figure out how the aliens' computer stuff works, which maybe is vague. I don't know why he won't.
Residue of several different compounds are in the tubes. None of the compounds would explain the sightings.
Okay.
I read a collection of small items. Nothing to report, Captain.
There's anything else in that room? Wonderful. All those boxes have something. Maybe they're boxes of floppy disks. I don't think I can combine items. It's like I can go back in my thing and see it just selects a different item.
Nothing happens.
I detect various pieces of mining equipment, but nothing of note. I detect various...
They are too heavy to move.
I detect various...
They are too heavy to move.
Okay, so they don't seem to be of importance.
Boxes of supplies and mining equipment litter the...
Or if I part of me wonders, like, there's something with the, that panel I can move that I should be figuring out on my own, but I'm not doing it. Somehow. I mean, is it something to do with these colors here? There's 3 yellows and then 1 of everything else. Doubt that's important. Can I combine? I mean, I could combine Spock and McCoy, I think. I don't know what good that'll do. No, I can't. Just replaces one with the other. I mean, you could tell Spock to do things. Come on, go in. Thank you. So, like, I can use this. But, like, to what end? Oh, that was right. We're good. Calm down. Ah!
Welcome to our home.
It was one of
Thank you
each.
for repairing our somnambutron.
You're welcome.
Stop. You're trespassing on Federation territory. I welcome you on behalf of the United Federation of Planets. Who are you? Where do you come from?
I'm not really quite sure where that worked, but it did.
We did fix your machine. Can we write the repair bill off against rent on this land? Stop. We did. I welcome you on behalf of the United Federation.
So far,
of
these
Planets.
officers are just don't be an absolute jerk.
We call ourselves Nowians.
Nowians.
Thousands of years ago, we saw that meteor impacts were going to cause an ice age. We created this huge underground shelter to preserve our race, keeping us in suspended animation until the planet had recovered. We programmed the machinery to revive us at the next eclipse, but we did not count on the destruction of our moon.
Oh, interesting.
Some advanced civilization. Perhaps you can tell us about the demons. Perhaps you can tell us about the demons.
The demons, as you call them, are created by a machine
that makes
designed
sense.
to keep intruders away from
That's what I
our
figured.
sleep chambers. It pulls from the minds of any approaching creature their most feared enemy and produces replicas to scare
See?
them away.
That's
For
why they're
you and
each
your
seeing their
crew,
version
it
of the
was
devil.
Klingons. For the Tellarite, a wolf demon.
That's why we saw
and for the
Klingons.
other humans, a demon from their religion.
But why did Klingon
On
actually
behalf
kill
of
us?
My people, thank you for waking us. I will turn off the machinery which creates our guardians, so that they no longer bedevil those with whom we now share our home. Oh, woe! Alas! The key is missing. I can do nothing. Even we will suffer the attacks of our own guardians unless the key can be found. I implore you, if you can help, please do so.
Well, do I have good news for you?
Jim, think about that skull we picked up from Brother Stephen. Now look at this alien. See the resemblance?
That's a good point.
You found the key. I can now turn off the machinery creating our guardians, and no more sentience shall be at risk. Surely the Holy One smiles upon us all. I have no way to thank you, Captain, but please carry this request from my people to yours. We have much ancient knowledge we can share, and we would like to join your federation. Go in peace.
I will be glad to accept your application to the Federation. We shall have a diplomatic envoy sent to make the final arrangements.
This is going
We
well.
look forward to meeting them. We also look forward to having discourse with the colonists. Farewell. May the Holy One bless you.
Live long and prosper.
This is going really well.
Enterprise. Beam us up, Mr. Scott.
Well, how about that? And I kept the ensign alive. Is that supposed to be Scotty?
Message from Starfleet.
On screen, Lieutenant.
We have read your report on the problems at Pollux 5 and evaluate your performance at 97%. You and your crew received 3 commendation
97? Where's the
points.
R3?
The top brass at Starfleet are impressed. Outstanding work, Jim.
It's funny, because I assume it could go worse.
I might have known there weren't any demons.
We all have demons of our own, Bones. The ones we can't confront are often the hardest to deal with.
These demons were based on fear, Captain. A human failing.
I don't know, Spock. Everything that I've ever read about demons describes them as having pointy ears.
I really did feel like a little Star Trek episode. That was cool. I was because the next episode. So now we're just on the next episode. That's neat.
Message from Starfleet, Captain.
All right, let's go up next.
Lieutenant.
The USS Enterprise is to report immediately to Beta Miamid. The USS Masada has failed to report as scheduled. Determine nature of delay and take whatever measures are necessary.
Set course for Beta Miami, sir.
Yeah, after I go to the bathroom.
Save new game.
All right, you all enjoy the ambiance here. I'll be right back. Beta Miamid. All right. It'll be great. Alrighty. Spock's not a robot, he's a Vulcan. Data's a robot. That's a different show. Alright, where's my map? Beta. 15. I feel like we're gonna have a spaceship battle in this one. We'll see.
There is an unidentified ship closing rapidly, weapons armed and shields up.
Arming weapons.
We need to do the same then.
Raising shields.
Message coming in, sir.
On screen, Lieutenant.
Leave the Beta Miami system immediately. You're interfering in Elasi affairs.
We are conducting a search and rescue mission for the USS Masada. It was last reported in this system. We cannot leave until we can confirm its location and condition.
So be it. You have been warned. Prepare to die.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You a bird of prey? Any moment now. Ow. Okay. There was a repair button, though so far I'm not too hurt. Let's see. Analyze target. D is damage control.
Target analysis on.
Oh, I can see his stuff now. I see. Hard to make too much sense of this radar, but we're getting there. Where is he?
Captain, they are fleeing.
The enemy ship's initial intercept course was from the last known position of the Masada. I suggest we orbit the planet for a closer sensor scan, sir.
Aye.
Target analysis on.
Fix our shields in the meantime, please.
Aye, sir.
Thank you. Orbit the planet.
There she is, Captain. She does not appear to be seriously damaged. Her shields are up, and 27 life forms are aboard.
We, hail them?
Hailing the ship, Captain.
Greetings, Federation Imperialists. I am Elasi Seraph, and I have claimed this ship as a blow for freedom against Federation tyranny.
This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. You are illegally in possession of Starfleet property. This is
Kind of
Captain James
whispering.
T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. Listen, Lassie. Hand over the ship and hostages now, or things are going to get very nasty. This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. Mr. Alassi, it appears that you have found something the Starfleet lost. This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. You are illegally in possession of Starfleet property. This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise.
I don't know.
Listen, Alassi. Hand over the ship and hostages now, or things are going to get very nasty.
I think we should threaten him a little bit.
Well, Kirk, someone is about to pay the price for insolence.
Captain, there is now one fewer life form.
Hey!
Freeing the prisoners you requested will take time. We have to track down their current locations, and Starfleet will have to grant permission to move them here. I will get that started. You should tender a show of good faith on your part. Will you beam over so we can discuss negotiations face to face? We can work together on this, Alassi. How about beaming some of the hostages over as a show of good faith? Freeing the prisoners you requested will take time. We have to track down their current locations, and Starfleet will have to grant permission to move them here. I will get that started. You should tender a show of...
What? Lower my shield so you can beam over a war party? I'm not stupid, Captain. We'll play by my rules.
So long as the shields are up, Captain, our hands are tied.
The Enterprise can overpower the Masada and take her, but the pirates would have all the time they need to kill every one of the hostages.
Will you send over data on the whereabouts and conditions of my falsely accused clansmen languishing in your dungeons, Captain?
Very well, we'll do it your way. I will put together the data packet. Your fellow Alassi have been tried in Federation courts of law and found guilty of their crimes. We'll listen to your complaints if you discuss them reasonably. Forget it, Alassi Sereth. You'll be the next one languishing on a Federation penal planet unless you drop your shields and surrender to me immediately. Very well, we'll do it your way. I will put together the data packet. Kirk out.
Okay. I think I might want to reload because I feel really bad about that one hostage dying, so... we'll try that again. I have to do that fight real quick. That's okay. Might be before I even went to the planet, right? Make sure. I do like this stuff, though. The high-stakes dialogue. Check my map, make sure this is right. Yep. I'm not gonna eject the warp core. You maniacs.
There is an unidentified ship closing rapidly. Weapons armed.
Arming weapons.
Raising shields.
Message coming in, sir.
On screen, Lieutenant.
Leave the Beta Myamid system immediately. You're interfering in a...
We are conducting a search and rescue...
So be it. You're...
Alright. Come on. Oh boy. Come on, right on top of them, apparently. There you are. There you are.
Captain, they are fleeing.
The enemy ship's initial intercept course was...
Target analysis on. Target analysis on.
This is repairing. I assume this one's the shields.
Aye, sir.
Okay, yeah, repair the shields. Get into orbit. Okay. I guess I didn't realize those were hostages before. I may have played a bit more diplomatically.
Seriously damaged.
Probably could have stayed right there.
Up and...
I think I'd say right here.
Save new game.
Let's hail them.
Hailing the ship, Captain.
Greetings, Federation Imperial.
This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. This is Captain James T. This is Captain James T.
Ah, the infamous Captain Kirk. The Masada is mine. You will release 25 political prisoners I specify, or I will destroy the ship and its crew. The list of those wrongfully imprisoned should be coming over to you now.
Data file captured, Captain. Computer indicates they were all convicted of piracy with various counts of murder and mayhem thrown in.
Freeing the prisoners you requested will take time. We have to track down their current locations, and Starfleet will have to grant permission to move them here. I will get that started. You should tender a show of good faith on your part. Will you beam over so we can discuss negotiations face to face? We can work together on this, Elasi. How about beaming some of the hostages over as a show of good faith? Freeing, we can work together.
What? Lower my
Same thing.
shield so you can beam over a war party? I'm not stupid, Captain. We'll play by my rules.
So long as the shields are up, Captain, our hands are tied.
The Enterprise can overpower the Masada and take her, but the pirates would have all the time they need to kill every one of the hostages.
Will you send over data on the whereabouts and conditions of my falsely accused clansmen languishing in your dungeons, Captain?
Very well, we'll do it your way. I will put together... Your fellow Elasi have been tried in Federation courts of law and found guilty of their crimes. We'll listen to your complaints if you discuss them reasonably. Forget it, Elasi Sareth. Your fellow Elasi have been tried in Federation
I'm worried that this
courts
one's
of law
going to
and
get
found
someone
guilty of their
killed.
crimes. Very well, we'll
Let's
do it
buy
your
some
way.
time and talk to
I will put
Spock.
together...
Spock, what do you think?
Captain, we could use the command prefix code to lower the Masada's shield briefly, long enough for one transporter burst.
All right.
Captain, we could use the command prefix code to lower the Masada's shields briefly, long enough for one transporter burst.
What's a command prefix code? All right. Blaine, thank you so much for following. Appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. Ani Manny, did I thank you for following? I think I did. Thank you, Blaine. Okay. How do we do that? So we can lower the shields.
Captain, we could use the command prefix code to lower the Masada's shields briefly, long enough for one transporter burst.
Command prefix code?
Topic not available, Captain.
Maybe there's a list of these in the manual, like some of these other things. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, because like there is a computer thing, so I assume that's important. What is using the computer good for? So, there's gotta be something here. Shields?
Shields. Force fields generated by a starship to deflect oncoming matter, such as micrometeorites. In the unfortunate event of combat, they also serve as a
So
defensive
you're actually
system.
just teaching me things about them.
Topic not available, Captain.
Target analysis on. Target analysis off.
I know there's a button to like target the other things here instead of the view screen. So I have an idea of what I want to do. I know what I want to do. It's got to figure out how the game wants me to do it, you know? now I can do this stuff. I don't want to send a hail. Alright, what the hell is this?
I don't know how long she can take it, Captain.
I think that was a bad thing.
She can't take it, Captain. She can't take it,
That's
Captain.
emergency power. What's this?
May I respectfully remind the captain that we have...
Okay.
Captain, we could use the command prefix code to lower the Masada's shields briefly, long enough for one transporter burst.
Yes, do that, please.
Captain's log.
Captain, the Masada...
Okay.
Shields repaired, Captain.
Oh, thank you. Good work, Scotty. I appreciate that. If I hail them again. Ah, there we go. I don't know the code.
That code had no effect, Captain.
Spock, what's the
Lower
code?
shields, Captain.
No, don't lower the
Raising
shield.
shields.
Captain, we could use the command prefix code to lower the Masada's shields briefly, long enough for one transporter burst.
Is it in my manual? What the hell? I looked in the manual. I didn't see anything in there about, like, codes. Command prefix codes. So let's see here. There's credits. Dang it. Prefix code.
Topic not available, Captain.
Code.
Topic not available, Captain.
Command prefix code.
Topic not available, Captain.
Damn it. Prefix code.
That code had no effect.
Am I spelling this wrong? Prefix code.
Topic not available,
Really?
Captain.
Target analysis on.
Well, give me some analysis then. Give me the analysis. Analyze it. Whoops. Sorry, that was my phone. Falling and disconnecting from the USB. This is mutiny. I mean, yeah, what was the ship's name? Am I supposed to put that in the computer? Oh boy. Spock, what's the ship's name? Masada. Am I supposed to put Masada in the computer?
Masada.
Oh my god.
USS. A Federation.
I was supposed to know that.
Tender. Registry.
I guess it makes some sense.
293391. Currently under the command of Captain Kevin
Oh my.
Keeler.
This is the code?
Crew complement of 17. Primary mission: tow, repair of disabled ships. Its input override
Jesus.
code is 293-391-197736-3829.
Jesus. I think I wrote that down. Alright. Jeez, okay. 293391.
That code had no effect.
I guess the
Captain.
dashes aren't real. Okay. 293391 19773633829.
That code had no effect, Captain.
Alright, I fucking wrote the code down wrong, or I do need to do the dashes. Let's try it one more time. Okay, can I do a dash? I can't do a dash there. I have to push it over there. 23391 dash 197736 dash 3829.
Sending
Hell
prefix
yeah.
and lowering the Masada
It's kind of cool, I gotta
shields.
be honest. Alright. Do we beam him over now?
Hailing the ship, Captain.
Do you have the data packet, Kirk?
Not yet. We are still working on it.
Captain, there is now one fewer
Ah,
life
damn it.
form.
Okay.
May I respectfully remind the captain that...
Oh, yeah. Alright. Well, that's bad. Alright. Let's try that again. I guess I immediately have to use the transporter. That's right. I know how to use the transporter. Okay, I got this. I got this. Hell.
Hailing the ship, Captain.
Greetings, Federation.
Oh, we're at the beginning here. That's fine.
This is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise.
Data file captured, Captain. Computer indicates...
Freeing the prisoners you requested.
What? Lower my...
So long as the shields are up, Captain.
The Enterprise, you know...
Will you send over data?
Very well, we'll do it.
Okay. Now. So it all looks
Captain,
official.
We could use the command prefix code to lower the Masada's shields briefly. Long enough...
I want to make this canonical.
Masada, USS.
Wonder if this is ever randomized. Okay. Now. Send over the prefix code. 293391 dash. I mean, it's realistic that it's long. It's a pretty important code. 3829.
Sending prefix and lowering the Masada shields.
Okay. Now. Beam.
Captain, the shields are up.
Oh, our shields, right.
Lowering shields, Captain.
Spock, come with me. Mr. Scott, you have the con.
Why didn't we just beam the captain over?
This man was obviously the transporter engineer. He is unconscious, but alive.
He's not hurt badly. I can revive him.
You should do that.
Thank you, Doctor. Be careful, Captain. The Lassie like to set booby traps. If you need any equipment, I've got my tools in this workspace.
Ah, here we go. Okay, let's save.
Save new game.
Great voice acting on that guy, by the way. So there's gonna be some booby traps, huh? Yeah, I want to keep the rest shirts alive. I feel bad when people die in video games. Alright, what do we get? What is that?
The Runsnake Transmogrifier. This device was invented by an engineer with a sense of humor about names. With the proper attachments, engineers use it for temporary fixes on key circuits.
Okay. What do you think, Spock?
When this operation is complete, Captain, we should have Mr. Scott or Transporter Chief Kyle come here to assist with the repairs.
Let's not look too far ahead, Mr. Spock.
Yeah, let's focus.
This is just like their raid on Damocles Station. Hard, fast, and dirty.
Well, Jim, there's one thing I can tell you. I don't like Lassie.
I can't see them winning any popularity contests, Bones.
They can forget about my vote.
A small bomb appears to have damaged the transporter controls. The transporter bay has been damaged in a recent firefight. These doors have been scarred by phaser fire. There was a battle here.
But it's almost certainly going to blow up, but let's try. Okay.
A tangle of mangled equipment reduced to junk. There are the remains of 5 phasers without power packs, a drained phaser welder, and scraps of wire and uncertain bits of metal junk. You are in a typical starship corridor. This view screen communication terminal has been damaged beyond repair.
What did I just pick up?
Some scraps of metal found in the corridors of the Masada.
Wires?
Some scraps of wire found in the corridors of the Masada. A phaser welder. It is without power.
Interesting.
You are in a typical starship corridor. Save new game.
I'm like afraid to move. Something's gonna try to blow me up. This door.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Try to talk to them. They didn't want to do that. Oof. Thanks everyone else. Thanks, security chief. All right, what's going on in here?
You are in the brig of the Masada. 9 of the crew members are held in a cell. 2 Alasi guards lie on the floor. This appears to be the button that turns the brig force field on and off.
So let's turn it off.
You've set off some type of booby trap. The force field protected you from the blast, but everyone inside the brig is dead.
That's some good bad music. Well, this is why we load and save and stuff. I could have seen that coming. It's fine. It's fine.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Okay.
Captain, the switch has been booby-trapped to detonate a bomb, presumably inside the brig somewhere.
You don't say.
You are in the brig of the... This guard is stunned. You fail to obtain anything.
The crew is tired and has elevated signs from extreme stress, but they will survive.
Okay.
Save new game.
No. Anything else we even need in here?
Some kind of force field appears to cover the door.
Interesting.
A force field of unusual configurations has been erected in front of the doorway, which leads into the bridge. I don't think it would be healthy to approach too closely, Captain.
Oh, I'm pretty close right now.
Jim, I can only perform medical miracles, not engineering ones.
Sorry, I thought you were Spock. You look the same from the back.
If we could find a point to interrupt the flow of power to the field, we could gain access to the bridge, Captain.
Well, what would that look like? What point? I have plenty of tools and such.
I failed to see...
Let me just talk to Spock, see what he has to say.
I don't think we can bring down that force field, Captain. If we could, though, it might be less risky than trying to transport onto the bridge.
Can't say I like the decor.
This corridor provides access to the transporter room, Captain. It is secure.
There must be something in this room we can use. Tool? Nah, I don't know too much about Tool. Wait, what? Are you guys up again? What the hell?
Hey, what are you doing here?
Hit the click buff. Alright.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
What is this? I have some other phasers?
These weapons are powerless, having been shorn of their power packs.
Wonder if I could, like, swap the dead phasers with theirs?
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Yeah, I picked up those extra phasers. I remember that now. But I assume at some point I'm going to do swapsies with them, right?
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
I see that the Alassi live up to their reputation, Captain.
I don't like the looks of this, Jim.
I'm just a security officer, sir.
What, so you're useless? What does that mean? What's that? I'm just a security officer. We'll do something.
Nothing happens.
These are the same colors as those wires. If you think that's important.
This guard is stunned.
See that? What?
You fail to obtain anything.
There aren't too many other points of interest.
You are in the brig of the Masada. 9 of the crew members are held in a cell. 2 Alassi guards lie on the floor.
I mean, I could just shoot and kill these guys. I assume I'll get less points. What do you think, Spock?
You've set off some type of
Alright.
booby trap. The Force...
I guess Spock wasn't any better at that. Lesson learned there.
Nothing to report, Captain. Nothing to report, Captain. I strongly recommend that we keep our silence.
Okay, fine. We won't hail them.
Nothing happens.
The pirates won't wake for a while, but they're going to be quite unhappy when they do. I recommend that we not be here when they awake.
I don't think I need to let Bones try to do it. I think I know what's going to happen. I know that there's something with the force field now. Anything else to look at in here?
Twisted debris has been scattered along the side of the corridor. This view screen communication terminal. Nothing happens.
Okay, must be something else to do.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
The controls have been virtually destroyed, Captain.
Can they be repaired, Spock?
With Chief Engineer Scott's assistance, I believe we could get them in perfect working order in 2 days.
Spock, we don't have 2 days. If we can repair the transporter, We might be able to transport onto the bridge and capture the Alassi.
I can attempt to jury-rig repairs if I can find parts. However, there is only a 67.357% probability of success.
I've always been a gambler, Spock. Figure out what you'll need.
Okay, so that's one way to do things, I know. But Kirk said it would be better if we can just get that door open. So I want to do that.
A force field of unusual configurations has been erected in front of the doorway, which leads into the bridge. I don't think it would be healthy to approach too closely, Captain.
So they're up. Can we not talk to them?
Hey, what are you doing here?
No, they don't want to talk. The fact that they keep waking up makes me think there's something. Oops. Let's see. Is he dead?
Lieutenant Christensen is fumbling for his phaser.
So he's alive? No.
There's nothing there requiring a ship's doctor. The pirates won't wait for a while, but...
I probably lost points from that. See, I really like my idea of swapping out their real phasers for these fake ones, but I can't. Like, that seems like what I should do, right?
Nothing happens.
I don't know if I'm just not doing it right, or I guess I just can't.
This guard is stunned. This guard is stunned. This guard is stunned. Spock raises an eyebrow. Lieutenant Christensen is fumbling for his phaser. You are in the brig of the...
Captain, the switch has been booby-trapped to detonate a bomb, presumably inside the brig somewhere.
If you can see it, where?
A medium-strength phaser bomb. The brig force field would contain the explosion, but it would kill the crew members within the cell. I recommend that we find a way of disarming it, Captain.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Then just shoot it.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. The Runsonate Transmogrifier. This device was invented by an engineer with a sense of humor about names. With the proper attachments, engineers use it for temporary fixes on...
The proper so it needs an attachment.
A phaser welder. It is without...
Can I use inventory on other inventory? I don't think so.
Nothing happens.
Does anything really happen ever? That's a good point. Okay.
Nothing happens.
You can use items on items in the inventory? Okay. I just don't know how then. You know
Nothing
how,
happens.
let me know.
Nothing happens.
I mean, I don't know how you would do that aside for rush in time, point and click adventure game where the primary mechanic is the Mario face pinch game? No. Sounds neat. Is that newer? Just came out. Let me see. If there's a way to use items on other items, I am missing it. Do-do-do. To do this, click the use button with the left mouse button, then select an inventory item. Oh. I mean, when I do that, it just swaps what my item is. Maybe I just can't use it with any of these things. I mean, unless you know there's something I have in my inventory that I should be combining. Otherwise, nothing. It just switches to the other thing. Do I have an item to be good at welding? No, I mean a phaser. I mean, this thing I think's a welding tool. That's why I'm trying to combine it with other things. I mean...
A phaser welder.
I mean, I have
it is
this.
Without power.
Yeah, I have a phaser welder. It's without power. I actually think I would combine it with a phaser, right? But that doesn't do anything.
Phaser welder is now charged.
Wait, why? What'd I do? I was kind of just clicking around. I didn't even know what happened there. What did I combine it with?
A phaser welder. It has been recharged.
Okay.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Of course, now my concern is that this is more for the transporter path, which I'm not trying to do.
Nothing happens.
I'm trying to combine it with that. But no.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Okay. Again, like, yeah, I think Spock needs that for the transporter. But I want to solve this puzzle. Did I take the battery banks out of the dead phasers? Is that what happened? I thought they were dead. Why would they have power?
These weapons are powerless, having been shorn of their power packs.
I'm gonna, like, reload my save just to, like, see what I actually did there. Okay.
Phaser welder is now charged.
I went from phaser to phaser welder, I guess.
Nothing happens.
Kind of a weird system.
There's nothing there requiring a ship.
Again, I'm shocked I can't swap out those passed out people's phasers, right? If I can, tell me if I'm just like missing it, but that's what I would think I would do.
I suppose I should be grateful to see anyone after that. I thought I was dead.
Well, with any luck, you won't have to worry about that for quite some time.
Provided the Alassi don't have anything to say about it.
The cabinet is empty. These doors have been scarred by phaser fire. There was a battle here. This is the main transporter. Spock quietly analyzes the damaged areas of this transporter room.
Nothing to report, Captain.
Okay, what would you try to do, Spock?
Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor.
Oh,
not...
you're...
The controls have been virtually destroyed.
Can they be repaired?
With Chief Engineer
Spock, we don't.
I can attempt to jury rig repairs if I can find parts. However,
I've always been a gambler.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
the controls have been...
Can they be repaired?
What parts do you need, Spock?
I can attempt...
I've always been against...
I have lots of parts. Which ones do you want?
Captain, I need to find a bit that will fit into the transmogrifier before I can go further with this.
A bit.
Nothing happens.
That's interesting. He doesn't say nothing happens when I use the wires. It just doesn't do anything.
Nothing happens.
Okay, a bit.
Twisted debris has been... You fail to obtain... You fail to obtain anything. This view screen communication terminal has been damaged beyond repair.
Nothing to report, Captain. Nothing to report, Captain. Tricorder readings indicate an indeterminate number of people in the brig. At least 2 are armed with phasers. I recommend caution when entering.
Must be some reason why these guys keep spawning alive. Must be something I could do with them. Besides just shoot them.
Nothing happens. You get no response.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Let's see what they do. They always shoot this spot. I wonder if that's important. Why does he get back up? What are they doing?
You have been taken captive by Alassi Seraph, and you know Starfleet does not negotiate with terrorists. As you look forward to a long load of previously saved...
My dad had a Spock action figure I used to play with, actually.
Hey, what are you doing here?
You are in the brig of the Masada. A bomb located just inside the force field. This appears to be the button that turns the brig force field on. These wires look like a modification.
They didn't select the wires.
Nothing happens.
No.
Nothing happens.
Kind of do want to steal their berets.
Nothing happens. Some scraps of metal found in the corridors of the... Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Still can't believe I can't swap the phasers. I wore a beret in the marching band when I played tuba, and I did look good in it. Thank you very much.
This guard is stunned.
I don't think it would be a good idea.
Tie him up and interrogate them. What are we doing here?
I don't think he's in any shape.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Shoot the wires.
Captain, if we could manage to overload the force field, it would probably detonate the bomb before we could rescue the crewmen.
But don't do that.
Captain, if we could manage to overload the force field, it would probably detonate the... Captain, the switch has been booby-trapped to detonate... Captain, the switch has been booby-trapped. Captain, the switch has...
Wait, I meant the wires, not the thing. Don't touch the thing.
I believe the bomb is now defused, Captain.
That was it?
Captain, this wiring may prove useful in repairing the transporter.
Is that easy? Really? I was about to cancel. I thought, okay, whatever. Great, we did it. Jeez.
Save
That's some
new game.
pixel hunting bullshit there. I didn't know he could just do that. Hello.
Thank you for freeing us, Captain. We'll secure the area so they don't come up behind you. We've had electrical problems with our door to our bridge, Captain. The Alassi don't know we put an electric shutdown device. You'd never find it by chance. But if you used a charged phaser welder 2 feet to the left of the door and 1 foot off the ground, you might be able to shut down the force field and get a jump on the Alassi.
A charged phaser welder. Is that what this is?
The Runsonate transmod.
Oh, no, I have a charged phaser welder. Okay.
This door leads.
Okay. If I had to name your own USS spacecraft, what would I call it? Oh boy. I don't know. I think the ones that are named after places or fun words. Nothing stupid. How about just the USS Ohio? Screw it. Seems fitting.
Nothing happens.
No, that's not right. Look more closely.
You look but see nothing of note. You look but see nothing of... You look but see nothing of... You look but see nothing...
Alright, how finicky is this gonna be? The USS Virtuoso. Oh yeah, the USS Nintendo GameCube.
The field is absorbing the energy. The field is absorbing the energy.
Is that not what was supposed to happen?
Nothing to report, Captain. Nothing to report, Captain. Nothing to...
Where did that guy say this thing was? Look at this sprite. Hell yeah, there's a handsome guy right there. Look at that face. There we go. That was looking good.
Thank you for freeing us. You'd better hurry.
Oh, come on. Can you say the thing
You
again?
imperialist Federation scum! We will never surrender. Sereth is a great man with a great vision. I spit upon you.
That guy did say it was just to the left of the door, right? I didn't make that up. You said if you could use a...
Nothing to report.
2 feet to the left and 1 foot off the ground. Right, so like around here-ish, right?
Nothing to report. Nothing to report, Captain.
I mean, I guess I just don't know if the game, like, just wants me to be incredibly precise, or what?
The field is absorbing.
How do we define 2 feet? Oh, there we go. It works.
That did it. The field is deactivated, Captain.
Okay, good. Alright. We're making proggies.
Save new game. Too many games saved. Replace or save new game. Cancel. Save. Replace previous game.
Here we go. I didn't interact with the bomb. I mean, I hope he doesn't turn off some of, I don't know. We're just gonna use diplomacy right here, right now. It's gonna be fine.
It's over, Sereth. Surrender, and I'll guarantee the lives of you and your crew. Freeze. Don't even think about it. Check and mate, Elasi. Don't do anything foolish. It's over.
You're an honorable and worthy opponent, Kirk. I accept your offer.
Scotty, beam down a security team to the bridge. We have regained control.
Oh, there you go. Easy.
Mr. Scott, beam us out of here.
Aye, Captain.
There you go. No one died, I think.
Message from Starfleet, Captain.
On screen, Lieutenant.
We have read your report on the problems at Beta Mayanid and evaluate your performance at 68%.
68%?
You and your crew received 1 commendation points. A satisfactory performance, Captain, but there's still room for improvement.
What? Trying to hold a Federation starship captive. Can you believe it?
Since we just witnessed that very event, Doctor, I'm surprised you asked.
It was a rhetorical question, Spock.
That took quite a bit of organization to seize a starship. I think we'll see more of the Alaska.
What could I have done more?
Undoubtedly, Captain. I suspect they have considerable resources to draw on.
So do I. Sulu, take us out of here.
What? Seriously, what could I have done more there? No hostages died. I did. Well, the bit was for.
Loves labor jeopardized.
The bit was for.
Priority message from Starfleet.
On screen, Lieutenant.
That was for the other path.
The Romulan neutral zone has placed Starfleet Research Station ARC-7 in jeopardy. Proceed immediately to ARC-7 and determine the status of the station. Good luck, Jim.
Federation agents report that the new Romulan cloaking device not only renders their ships invisible, they also won't show up on our sensors.
I mean, seriously, does anybody know? Because I'd reload and do it. I mean, it seemed pretty good to me. Need to stop soon anyways. Well, the transporter, so they made it clear, Spock made it clear, like, yeah, we can do the transporter, but that's more dangerous. Were his words. So, the way I did it, and snuck up on him, the game made it sound like that was better. Like, that was the right thing to do. Is that a freaking lie? You can see. Oh, all these things I may call Mike 3 are still called Mike 3. I mean, just because I didn't grab the bomb. Well, I have a bomb now. Great. What's the point of that?
A bomb with 3 wires. Primitive, but potentially quite deadly.
We use the welder with the scraps of metal.
I think that does it. A comb bit for the transmogrifier. Now I can continue repairs on the transporter controls.
Nothing happens.
Like, again, I don't know, like, why any of this would be better than what we just did. Let's see.
Nothing happens.
The parts fit together satisfactorily.
Nothing happens.
The controls have been virtually destroyed.
Can they be
with Chief Engineer Scott's
Spock, we don't have.
I can attempt to
I've always been against.
I attach these here. Now, all I need is a... The bits are not long enough. I need a longer piece of wire.
Can I take the wires off?
Nothing happens.
I mean, I have extra wire right here. Can't weld with this?
A bomb with 3 wires. Primitive, but potentially quite deadly. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
I think we're going to be doing a get together in Portland. We're trying to figure it out.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Alright. How do I get the wires off of this bomb?
These weapons are powerless. Having
Just use Spock on the exposed wires.
The controls have been virtually...
Can they be with Spock? We don't have.
I can attempt...
What exposed?
I am registering energy residue from phaser fire and...
What exposed?
I am registering...
Come on, stop that. You know, what exposed wires do you mean? Like these ones?
The controls have been virtually destroyed, Captain.
Can they be repaired, Spock?
With Chief Engineer...
Spock, we don't have.
I can attempt to jury-rig...
I've always been...
Good. Just so curious. Oh, maybe it's these ones, right? No, we can just take these, I guess. Or not.
These wires look like a mod.
Oh. I see your confusion. That's how I turned off the bomb. Now I'm just taking the wires. Like, this is definitely a lot... Like, this seems like the more complicated thing. But again, like... Logically, the way I went about it seemed pretty good. I'm just curious here.
The controls are set for just inside the bridge door, Captain.
Mr. Spock, you're a genius.
I wouldn't go that far, Jim. But I do have to congratulate you, Mr. Spock. Now we can really risk shooting our atoms around the universe. Is this really necessary, Jim?
Analysis, Lieutenant Christensen.
Security analysis, sir. If we transport onto the bridge, we'll have the drop on them. Assuming Mr. Spock has the transporter working properly. If we could get past the force field on the door of the bridge, we should be able to surprise them for sure. Since we have a bomb, Captain, we could rearm it, transport it onto the bridge, and perhaps the Alasi will flee into the hallway. Then we could capture them.
And any hostages on the bridge will be killed when the bomb goes off. No, Jim. That's inhuman.
To say nothing of the possible damage to the bridge controls.
What? Didn't I save all the hostages when I did it last time?
Save new game. Replace previous.
I don't think there were any hostages on the bridge.
My God, Jim, what have you done? You've killed them all. You probably blew up the whole damn bridge.
Captain, the ship will crash into the planet in 18.32 seconds. I would recommend leaving the ship immediately.
You cold-blooded emotionalists.
Bones, later. Kirk to Enterprise.
But we'll talk about this later. We'll talk about this later.
Beam us out of here.
Aye, Captain.
Okay. I think we disarm the bomb and then beam it to the bridge. That's what I think we do. I bet we get very few points now.
Message from Starfleet, Captain.
On screen, Lieutenant.
Kirk, you have completely mishandled the situation with the Masada. You killed the hijackers on the Masada and all the hostages as well. Your own crew had to transport you out of the wrecked ship before it went utterly out of control. Your record of maverick stunts will be completely reviewed for consideration of disciplinary action. You have much to answer for, Captain Kirk. Consider yourself lucky that you're allowed to retain your command until we get back to you on this. Starfleet out. I'll be frank, Kirk. Starfleet expects more of you than that. Try to do better on your next assignment.
Okay. Now, I can't reload my save until we get over this little intro of the next thing. I wonder how many episodes there are.
Love's labor jeopardized.
Priority message from Starfleet.
On screen.
A bunch? You can tell me how many, I'm curious. I don't consider that a big spoiler. Okay. 7. Neat. This is only 2. Wow. Okay. Let's disarm this bomb.
A bomb with 3 wires. Some scraps of wire found in the corridors of the... Some scraps of wire...
Can I, like, replace those wires with these ones? Or something? No?
Nothing happens.
The bomb was diffused from the activation thing. I have the bomb now. The bomb is active.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. A phaser welder. It has been recharged. These weapons are powerless. Nothing happens.
They really
Nothing
want you to
happens.
still hunt
The
this.
field has already been
Oh, it has been? Did they, like, not notice me last time? Could I have, like, done some stuff around there before? I don't know. Did I, like, pick things up? Hey, can you disarm this bomb?
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Yeah, I don't think they've noticed this. Oh, now they have. Ah, shit. Okay, let's reload. I can't leave. It still never feels great when I combine items. Yeah, like, I guess I could just teleport in. See what this does, I suppose. But I don't think this is the
I'm going
best
to have
thing
a
either.
word for you, Spock, if we appear inside the door.
That's my favorite Star Trek episode of all of them. Cause and Effect at TNG is a good one. There's a lot. So, I mean, this is no different than going through the door. What if I show him the bomb?
Nothing happens.
It's over, Sareth. Surrender.
You're an honorable and...
Scotty, beam down a security team to the bridge.
Again, there are no,
Mr. Scott, beam us out of here.
Aye, Captain.
hostages in here. And are like, yeah, it's just amazing. It's a good answer. Alright, I wonder how many points I get now. I still feel like I'm missing something. Maybe not. Maybe that's just it now.
Message from Starfleet, Captain.
On screen, Lieutenant.
We have read your report
No, never
on
mind.
the problems at Beta
That was it.
Minehead and evaluate your performance at 91%. You and your crew received 3 commendation points. The top brass at Starfleet are impressed. Outstanding work, Jim.
It's like, why was that worth more points than the way I did it, you know? Like, I know, like, it's a Sierra thing to just give you points for solving more puzzles, but in Star Trek, it's like...
That took quite a bit of organization.
Just, if I did good...
More of the Alassi pirates?
Undoubtedly, Captain. I suspect they have considerable resources.
Like, I solved things fine.
Sulu, take us out of
Well, annoying. I did more science stuff. Yeah, yay. That's a little annoying. I think that's been my one critique. Honestly, everything else is like, oh, well, game stuff, it's fun. That's a little bit of like an actual critique I have with the game now.
From Starfleet.
On screen, Lieutenant.
A raid across the Romulan neutral zone has placed Starfleet Research Station ARC-7 in jeopardy.
I gotta write down
Proceed
ARC-7
immediately
to
to
remember where I
ARC-7
need to go
and
next time, because we have to save and
determine the
stuff now.
status of the station. Good luck, Jim.
I mean, I don't really know if it matters too much how many points you get, I guess. Guess I could have just not cared. It's weird. It is weird.
Save new game. Cancel. Save new game. Replace delete previous game. Replace previous game.
Okay. The ending was exactly the same, right? There was like nothing worse about that scenario. So yeah, it's just kind of annoying.
Yes, quit the game. No. Yes, quit the game.
But otherwise, I was really enjoying that. I'm excited. The episodic nature of it is nice too. What the hell's that? No. Yeah, so that's fun. So we'll definitely be playing some more of that soon. I don't know about tomorrow. It's a friend's birthday tomorrow, so I'll be hanging out with them. And then I'm going to be on a little trip to New Orleans this weekend. We'll see if there's a chance to stream at some point this weekend before I go. Yeah, that was fun. I liked that. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, that is the best genre for Star Trek games, really, because you kind of can do everything there. I like Cajun food. You know, I have to be careful with spicy is the issue. The trips is a personal thing. Alrighty. Is Andy playing Dark Souls 2? Poor guy. But yeah, I'm going to New Orleans, hang out with my girlfriend who's from there. It's gonna be a good time. Alright, everyone. See ya. Don't forget Fishing Week. Hey, by the way, if you go to store.giantbomb.com, you might notice some fishing. The Fishing Week merch is up now, so if you want a sneak peek at that, you can see the merch right now. It's there. All right, so that Andy, everybody. Tell them to live long and prosper, if you wish. See you all later. Bye bye. There's no tackle boxes.